They chose you. That much was clear. They stayed. They committed. They showed up, at least in the ways that could be counted. And for a long time you told yourself that was enough, that being chosen was what mattered. That wanting was something you had romanticized, something people in movies felt, not something you were supposed to require from real life. But there was a difference, and you felt it even when you couldn't name it. This is about that difference. Being chosen and being wanted are not the same thing. Being chosen is a decision. It can come from convenience, from familiarity, from the calculation, conscious or not, that you are a good option, stable, reliable, someone who won't cause too much trouble, someone who fits. Being wanted is something else. It is not a decision, it is a reaching. A genuine pull toward who you are, not just what you offer, not just how well you fit, not just what your presence provides, but you, the specific irreducible you. And those two things can look almost identical from the outside, but they feel completely different from the inside. Being chosen often feels like relief, especially if you have spent time not being chosen, especially if you have learned, through experience, that your presence is not something everyone moves toward. So when someone chooses you, when they stay, when they commit, when they make you part of their life, something in you relaxes. This is enough. This is what it looks like. I am asking too much if I want more than this. And you settle into it. You build a life inside it. You tell yourself that the slight distance you feel, the sense that something is not quite landing, that you are present but not quite reached, is just your imagination, or your insecurity, or the price of being in a real relationship, rather than a fantasy. But it was not your imagination. It was information. Most people who have been wanted know it immediately. Not because it is dramatic, not because it arrives with grand gestures or declarations, but because of something quieter. The way someone pays attention to the specific things you say, not just that you're talking, but what you're actually saying. The way they remember things you mentioned once, months ago, that you had already forgotten you said. The way they look at you when you're not performing, when you're not trying, when you're just there. And something in their face says, yes, this you. Being wanted means someone is interested in the parts of you that don't make things easier for them. The complicated parts, the inconvenient parts, the parts that require actual curiosity to understand. And that is rare. Rarer than most people realize. Which is why so many people spend years in relationships that chose them, without ever quite feeling like they were wanted. The people who choose you without fully wanting you are not always aware of it. Sometimes they genuinely believe they want you, because you are good, because life with you is easier, because they feel something when they are with you, just not the specific something that is about you. What they feel is often more about what you provide. Stability, warmth, the feeling of being cared for, the ease of being with someone who asks very little. And those feelings are real. They are not nothing, but they are feelings about what you do, what you offer, what you make possible, not about who you are when you strip all of that away. And deep down, in a part of you, that you may have spent years trying to quiet. You knew the difference. You could feel it in the moments when you were most yourself, the moments when you said something that was true and unedited, and slightly uncomfortable, and instead of being met with curiosity, you were met with distance. With the subtle withdrawal that said, I prefer the easier version. Come back when you're less of yourself. Being in a relationship where you are chosen but not wanted has a specific cost. It is the cost of performing, of bringing the version of you that keeps things smooth, and leaving the rest of you somewhere outside, waiting to be let back in through a door that never quite opened. It is the cost of the loneliness that lives inside connection, the particular ache of being with someone and still feeling unseen, not because they are absent, but because what they are present to is not the whole of you. And over time, the cost shows up in the way you start to wonder if the hidden parts of you are even worth showing. If they would matter to anyone, if the wanting you are looking for is something real, or just something you invented because settling felt like admitting defeat. I want to say something carefully here, not as a declaration, not as something to put on a poster, but as an observation that I think is worth sitting with. The version of you that has been left outside, the complicated version, the inconvenient version, the version with opinions and needs, and feelings that don't always make things easier. That version is not the problem. That version is the point. The love that is worth having is not the love that tolerates that version of you. It is the love that is curious about it, that moves toward it, that finds it, not despite the complexity, but because of it. You were not asking for too much. When you wanted to be wanted, you were asking for the right thing in the wrong place. If you have spent time in relationships where you were chosen but not quite wanted, I want you to hear this. The distance you felt was not your fault. The loneliness inside the connection was not your imagination. The sense that something was missing, even when everything looked fine from the outside, was not ingratitude. It was accurate. Being chosen is not nothing, but it is not everything. The difference was always there. You felt it even when you spent years explaining it away. You always knew.